What's going on, guys? We're out here on Lake Roberts for the third stop of the Bass Champs North Region Trail this year. 2 weeks ago we fished the CBTT tournament out here and got 8th. We are in the same spot that we did that in, so hopefully there's still fish here. The water temperature hasn't really changed much, but the lake did come up about a foot and it's a little bit muddier, so we'll see what happens. The water temp is a little bit warmer. There could be a shad spawn going on. We're not quite sure, but we're looking to get after it. There's already 4 other boats in this cove. I don't know if y'all can see that, but there's a lot more boats in this tournament than the college one, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find water that hasn't been fished. But yeah, y'all stay tuned. Right there you go.
Okay. What? Why? I think I like it.
Think? I don't think so. No. But keeps my streak alive. All right, guys, first fish of the morning. Definitely not the ones we're after, but it's a start. Close. Ooh, he's gonna be close. Second fish of the day for me, but still not a keeper. Alright, guys, just caught keeper number 1. The camera battery had died and we hadn't switched it yet, so we didn't get it on camera, but we got 1 in the boat, looking to add 4 more. Alright, guys, time check. It is 12:13 p.m. We still only have the 1 keeper that we caught off camera. The north side's just not fishing good for us, at least this week. The water's a lot murkier, it's a foot higher. And I don't know, we just can't seem to figure it out. We did miss a few that probably would have helped out, but we're gonna run down to the south end and fish around the marina and try the dam and just see if we can pull a quick limit. At this point, halfway through the day with 1 keeper, we care more about getting a limit than anything else. So just to kind of salvage some points and try to stay in the top 10 in Angler of the Year. So we'll see y'all down on the south end. Ooh, I just got bit. Okay, sick. This is dark. Looks like it's got what? Right in between those 2 tires. Alright, first keeper on camera. Got a banger. Keeper number 2. with 30 minutes left. Gotta get back in there. All right, guys, so as y'all saw, that was not the best tournament that we've ever had. It was tough. We couldn't really figure them out. 2 weeks before, as y'all had seen from our last video, we had fished the Collegiate Bass Trail of Texas tournament on Ray Roberts, and we got 8th place. We had like 18.5 pounds, and everything was good that week. Practice the day before, I caught an 8-pounder. We placed in the top 10 and cashed a check in the tournament. And we were, it's been our best season ever. Up to that point, we had fished 7 events, and we had cashed a check in 6 of them. So, we've been on a really good streak the last 2 seasons, and for it to kind of take a dip with this tournament really sucks. It sucks because up until this point, the lowest we'd finished this year was 25th, and now we have this stain on like our best season ever at 102nd. So we finished this event in 102nd place out of 224 teams. We had 5.4 pounds on those 3 keepers. And yeah, it just sucks that we have this stain on our best season ever now. But, that's fishing. It's the hardest sport there is, toughest sport there is to be consistent at. And it's gonna happen. It happens to everyone. Even the best pros on the planet have bad tournaments. So, you have to have a short memory in this sport. So we're just gonna kind of learn our lesson from this one and put that in the back of our head and forget about it, and hopefully get back on track at Lake Palestine. But I wanted to talk real quick about what I kind of think happened. So 2 weeks ago for the college tournament that we fished, the water in the area that we were catching them in was 63 to 66 or 67 degrees. And then in other areas of the lake, we found water into the low 70s, 71, 72 degrees. And most of the fish we were catching in that tournament were pre-spawn or just moving up onto the bed spawning. So there was a lot of fish right about to spawn, staging in cedar trees in like 3 to 7 foot of water. And then there was a few fish up, 2 feet or less, cruising the banks and actually on beds. And it was easy. It really honestly felt easy. We were catching them on a frog. We were flipping the cedar trees with a Texas rig. We were catching them on a chatterbait, catching them on a buzzbait. And it was just a lot of fun. And we were also catching a few down at the dam in practice on throwing some square bill crankbaits. And it was just easy. It was easy. This tournament, the week leading up to it was off limits. And the day after our last practice day, which would have been the Sunday before, we had a bunch of rain, and the lake came up a foot basically in a day. And it was already at normal pool, so it came up a foot above pool, and then they opened the floodgates midway through the week. So what happened was we had a large influx of water where the lake rose a foot, and it got kind of muddier and more stained, and then they opened the floodgates. So what happened, it came up real fast, and then they already started bringing it back down. And in the spring, especially when bass are trying to spawn, fluctuating water is never a good thing, especially when it comes up real fast and then drops back down real fast. And so I think what happened is that water came up, and the fish never got a chance to actually move up into any of the flooded cover, because as soon as the water came up, they started pulling it out of the dam, and those fish can sense that water's lowering back down, so they just moved back off the bank. And I think that's what happened, because in this tournament y'all just watched, we did not see any bedders anywhere. We didn't see any big fish up shallow in 2 feet of water or less like we did 2 weeks ago in the college tournament. In the college tournament. So I think that the fluctuating water just kind of pulled the fish off maybe to the original bank line, and we just didn't do a good enough job adjusting. The same thing happened to us last year in the TTO tournament we fished on Lake Louisville, where the water came up. It was probably 3 or 4 feet high, but they started pulling it back out of the dam. And so we started that morning fishing shallow, like shallow, and didn't catch anything. But that day, luckily, we adjusted and we pulled back off to that original bank line, 3 or 4 feet of water, and threw a wacky rig all day. And if y'all have seen that video, we caught a limit and placed 30th in that tournament. We had like 13 pounds, so we salvaged that day. We just didn't do a good enough job this time at Ray Roberts adjusting to that.
But the way that we did end up catching them, you know, we caught a bunch of short fish throwing wacky rig up shallow. We just couldn't get the bigger bites. And so finally, we kind of pulled off and started fishing just down like a main lake bank. And I caught the first keeper off camera on a chatterbait by a cedar tree, probably in 5 or 6 feet. And I just rolled the chatterbait right by the cedar tree, and I actually watched the fish come up and eat it. And then the other 2 keepers I caught that finished out our bag, I caught one in the marina flipping the tires. There was 2 tires up in about 2 or 3 feet of water that were laid right next to each other, and there was a shady spot in between them. I pitched in there and caught that one, and that was the first keeper y'all saw me catch. And then the last one, we were kind of grasping at straws, didn't really have anything else to fish, and we were trying to find something to fish that no one else was fishing. So we went and idled over a main lake point, and we found like 3 or 4 house foundations underwater, rocky house foundations underwater on that point. So we just started dragging a Texas rig in those house foundations, and I ended up catching that third and final keeper that y'all saw. And we actually didn't end up having 2 more bites there, but we missed them both, so there's no telling if they were keepers. If they were, then, you know, we had the bites to finish out a small limit, but we still wouldn't have done any good. It probably would have maybe added 4 or 5 pounds, which would have only probably put us in somewhere in like the 70s or 80s range. So it wouldn't have been too big of a jump. So, but you know, got to stay positive, got to keep a positive mental attitude. It's fishing, it's tough, but confidence is everything. We've had a great last 2 seasons, and especially this year, we've had a really, really good year minus this tournament. So it's going to be our one blemish. We're going to put it behind us, learn our lesson from it, and move on to the next one. So the next tournament that y'all will see is going to be the final regular season Collegiate Bass Trail of Texas video on Lake Palestine, and hopefully we can finish that one up. You know, we're 8th in Angler of the Year points in that trail, so hopefully we can have a good finish and finish in the top 10. Bass Champs, that was the 3rd event that y'all just watched this video. There's one more event on Lake Tawakoni. Going into this event, we were 6th in the points, and we were only 12 points off the lead, but now because of our 102nd place finish in this video, in this tournament, we have dropped from 6th place to 13th place, and we're now like 100 points off the lead. So winning is probably out of the question, but 13th still is really not bad. There's over 300 teams, so 13th is still a good spot. Hopefully we can finish up the last one on Tawakoni and also finish in the top 10 in Bass Champs and be in the top 10 in Angler of the Year for both trails. So we appreciate y'all watching. I know this is kind of a lengthy outro, but we don't really have a lot of fishing footage from this tournament, so we appreciate y'all watching and sticking through this one, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks.